The following video includes very, very important information for anyone who's planning on not just surviving, but thriving in the coming years, 2024 and beyond. I highly recommend that you watch this video till the end. You will not regret it, and you will learn a lot of very, very important information that will help you. How's it going, my friend? This is your favorite sorcerer, Aurelius Silpex. You know, I have a tradition going on for myself, and I'm definitely not the only one when it comes to that, but every year, right at the end of it, I take out a couple of days and do a lot of astrological research. And also, of course, talk to spirits, do divinations to figure out what the next year will hold. In 2019, I made a big mistake by not doing that. And I was actually kind of surprised, not surprised that something special happened, but I was surprised by the magnitude of it. So I was actually surprised by the pandemic, which, like I said, was a mistake, because if you had looked at the astrological alignments and positions of certain planets such as Pluto, Saturn, the conjunctions between the two that were clear and were expected for 2020, things of that magnitude could have been expected. So I gotta say that was a mistake. I didn't take the right precautions. So this is one of the reasons why I will never make that mistake again. Now, I was still thriving in 2020. Don't get me wrong. And I was also able to, of course, predict who would win the presidential race and many, many, many other things. However, I should have done it before, because that would have opened a lot of opportunities, not just to, win in the stock market, but, there were many, many different opportunities that I could have taken advantage of, right? Any problem, any crises also create opportunities, of course. This is very important to keep in mind. So, like I said, every year, at the end of the year, I look into astrological developments for the next coming year, you see. Now, we're in the beginning of 2024, and actually a couple of weeks back, I did, that was right around the end of December. I did a free webinar, which is actually on this YouTube channel. If you go back into the videos, you can watch it. And I was going into different astrological predictions for 2024. However, you can never just look at one year in an isolated fashion. So developments that are taking place in 2024 always have connections to former years as well as coming years, of course. I mean, that should go without explanation, right? So this webinar revealed a lot of really, really interesting things, and I shared what I found in my research. Now, mind you, astrology applied correctly, just like the occult in general, is something that you should be able to apply to the real world. And you should also be able to use the information that you gain from your spiritual contact, from your divinations, from your astrological research in order to get real world benefits from it. At least that is my conviction, and that's how I practice my stuff. That is why I'm so good at it. So here's what is in store for 2024. Now, before we look at 2024, we first have to understand that 2024 is part of a series of years that are essentially the transition phase from one age to a new one. What do I mean by that? See, everything in the universe works in cycles, and the different cycles have different energetic qualities. What we're doing right now as humanity, as Earth, is we're moving into an epoch that is ruled by the air element. And we're coming out of an epoch that was ruled by the earth element. 2020 was the shifting point. 2020 was the year in which we entered the air epoch. Now, there's always a transition of 5 years. So we're in the transition phase until 2025. And 2026, we're going to be solidly in the air element. Now, what does that mean? When you look at the elements, air and earth, they're very, very different. The element earth stands for solidity, for solid structures, for predictability, for clear-cut organizations, clear-cut hierarchies, and so on and so forth, right? And the last earth epoch that was kind of like ruling the zeitgeist, if you will, was taking place for more than 200 years. So this is when you saw certain institutions rise, certain governmental structures, the financial system as we know it, the legal system as we know it, the way commerce and trade were done, the education system. All of these things are, first and foremost, a reflection of the collective unconscious. Ideas are the foundation for everything that manifests in the physical. And the way people think and the way those ideas are structured determines the quality that is being presented to us in this world. Now, in contrast, Earth is much more solid than air. And air is an element that is very, 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 very subtle, very, very fast changing. It is very much more mental than physical. And this is the age that we're moving into right now. The epoch that we're moving into is ruled by the air element. So you could say that the mental world is becoming more important than the physical. And that has many, many, many different implications. Look at the financial system, for example. It is becoming more and more abstract. It is becoming more about data and information than about anything physical. The most important things nowadays are wars of information. We used to have atomic weapons, biological weapons, chemical weapons. Now we have D weapons too, digital weapons. The damage that you can do to an enemy, whether it's a government, a country, or whatever, in the digital sphere is as destructive, sometimes even more destructive than a physical attack. The knowledge, the ability to exchange information is much more important than physical things these days. The rise of the internet, the rise of the metaverse, the rise of digital currencies, and many, many, many other things are a symptom of the shifting from an epoch, an age that was ruled by the earth element, over into an epoch and an age that is ruled by the air element. Now, this also comes with a lot of shifts in lifestyles. Also, it is no coincidence that we're right now in a time where gender is being questioned in a lot of ways because the air element is androgynous, you see. The air element is also something that speeds things up. It is not inhibited as much as the earth element. So things change very, very fast. And I mean, look around you. We have the internet. We have the metaverse. We have artificial intelligence. We have 3D printing. We have, gene technologies. We have quantum computers. All of these things are at the very, very early stage, but they're already shifting the world powers. They're already shifting the course of events. They're already shifting our entire outlook into the future. And this is only going to speed up. We're at the very, very beginning. So when we're talking about the air epoch, it is unfathomable for most people at this point what this is going to bring, because this is an exponential curve of speeding up. In 10 years from now, the whole world can be transformed, and it will be transformed. However, unfortunately, as I'm going to have to go into, not necessarily in a positive manner. Now, long term or midterm, yes, it's going to be very, very positive developments, but short term, these developments are not going to be positive. And when I say short term, I'm talking about decades here. So relative to your and my lifetime, this is a very long time. So within this transition phase of 5 years between 2020 and 2025, 2026, 2024 is going to be an extremely, extremely decisive year. In what way? This is going to be the year in which we're going to find a new orientation. But the most important thing that you have to be aware of, and one of the reasons why I'm doing this video, is you have to understand that the elites, those that have been in power for a long time, are very, very well aware of these changes, and they're about to implement a digital system of slavery. At the center of this new control system that the elites will implement, there are CBDCs, which are essentially a digital currency with an expiration date. So it will be issued by a central bank, and you will not be able to store it, you will not be able to save it, and this will lead to cemented distribution of wealth, which is the ultimate goal, of course. Can't save money, will not be able to invest. If you can't invest, you can't acquire assets, and that keeps the people that are already rich, already have what they want, keeps them in power. It increases the control, and that is the goal. A system like that was not possible before because the technological developments were not there yet. Now they have the tools to actually implement this. And I have bad news for you. For the next decades, this system, this techno-communism, is gonna be implemented throughout many, many parts of the world, not all parts of the world, but throughout many, many parts of the world. And this year, 2024, is going to be the last year in which you have any sort of chance to remain free. After this year, it is done. After this year, it is done. Mark my word. So as they're preparing to implement this new system in the background, they keep people distracted with stupid political identity politics and, celebrityism, you know, keep the people docile with toxic food, chemicals everywhere. Because that's how you rule the masses. Think about it. You're one of very, very few people, maybe in the hundreds of thousands. How do you keep billions of people under control? Number one, you distract them with gender wars, fake racism, general bullshit. Number two, you numb them with shit food. You slow down their brains and their thinking capacity by feeding them a mental diet as well as a physical diet of complete trash. And you overwhelm them with too much information, almost too much to process. And this is how you stay in charge, even though there's so many more people that you're trying to control. I'm very well connected. I have a very powerful network that is, global. I know people in the right places. I know what to do. I know where to go. I already have an escape plan. I know exactly what to do, when to do it, and how to do it. This comes from, of course, work with the spirits, getting information from them, from astrological expertise. It comes from actually physically knowing people that are in the know, getting information from them. And this, of course, will allow me to save my own ass and and my loved ones, for sure. And this is what you need to do. You need to prepare, and you need to make sure that you stay free and that the people that you know stay free. Because this is going to be your last chance. This year, my friend, 2024, is going to be decisive for the rest of your life. So let me give you an idea of where we're headed. Please understand that the owners of this world, essentially, are interested in multiple things. Now, first of all, in harvesting their energy and feeding that to the gods that they worship. I'm not going to go into that, but I'm sure you have an idea of what that means. Number two, they're interested in increasing their own wealth, power, and control. Based on demographic developments and other factors, the economic center of the world is moving away from where you are. Most likely you live in North America, Europe, and other places. The economic centers of the world are shifting somewhere else, which means that what's waiting for you and where you are is a massive collapse and downgrade in prosperity. You can already see it, you can already feel it, It's not just about inflation and the collapse of the dollar, which is not even that imminent. But the system as we know it is going to collapse. It can't last much longer. And of course that coincides with the implementation of a new system. They're all going to say that it's going to be unforeseen. Bullshit. Looking at astrology and the factors that are at play there, which I'm not going to go into detail. However, the system, as we know it, just can't last longer than 2026. What must be created is order out of chaos. And the order that they're going to create is going to be a techno-communism. Techno-communism means that everything can be fully controlled because it's a digital currency. You'll be able to see first lollipop that you buy, all the way down to the casket that's bought for you. This is how clear everything's going to be. Now, you might think that that's not a problem. However, remember what I said about the expiration date of the currency. If you get a certain amount of currency and you got to spend it until the end of the month, otherwise it just loses its value, you have no chance in creating any kind of freedom for yourself anymore. It's over. Please understand that. It's over. Not only that, robots are going to patrol the streets, keeping you in your little apartment. You know, they can keep you in there whenever they choose to. They will have total, complete control over you. Please understand that. They're going to be able to control what you read, what you watch, what you do, what you think, where you move. You're going to be an absolute and total slave. They're going to prevent you from procreating. You will be a slave. And this is what's awaiting the absolute majority, more than 80% of humanity, for the next decades. And yes, in the 2040s, late 2040s, there's going to be an uprising and we're going to move towards something better, but not before a lot of people have suffered and died and spent decades wasted. Now, I will be in my late 60s when that happens. I am definitely not going to spend more than 20 years of my life living in a system like that. So I am free, and I'm staying free. And I have friends that know exactly what I know. I have friends that are prepared as I am prepared. And, you know, we're okay. We're going to be fine. No problem at all. Now, why am I doing this video if this can't be prevented anyways? Well, I never put out bad news without also at the same time pointing out a solution, because otherwise it's just being negative and destructive. There's no point. If you just mention the negative without a solution to the problem, there's really no point in even talking about the problem. But I also can't just tell you what to do. That would be too easy. Too easy not because I don't want to share it with you. If I just could put out one video in which I tell people this is what you need to do, blah, 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 I would do it. But life in the world is a little bit too complex. Imagine a GPS. In order to get to the destination, you first of all need to know where you are. You need the position of the satellite, and you need the position of the destination. And at that point, you can create a route. You can create a pathway to travel. And that's how it looks for everybody, which means the following thing. Each one of you is an individual. Each one of you has a unique energetic and astrological makeup, which means you're all affected by a unique energetic environment that will have to be taken into account. All of you, every single one of you has a different situation that they're in. Each one of you have an individual dream life in mind. what you want is not exactly the same thing that somebody else wants. And where you're at right now is not the same point where somebody else is at. Your capabilities are different than the capabilities of another person, maybe greater, maybe smaller. Certain spirits are going to be willing to help you, but are not going to be willing to help somebody else. Certain rituals can be done for you, other rituals cannot be done for you. Bottom line is, you are a unique individual that needs unique help with this situation. So what I've decided to do is to take time out of my extremely busy schedule and offer you individualized escape plans for 2024. Now, this is not just going to be an escape plan that includes everything that I mentioned so far. And for you to have an exact step-by-step plan on what to do, how to do it, and so on and so forth. It's also going to include rituals done for you to get you exactly what it is that you want and need. Okay? And having that, the exact escape plan, the exact things that are going to happen for you, how to make them happen, having rituals performed by me personally for you in order to help you to accomplish the destination that you want, that is going to be your safety. That is going to be your escape.